James chapter 3. And one of the things is that our nation has become so uncivil in its ability to discuss and debate with civility. We're not able to do that anymore. I told you this more than once, I've seen a drastic change the past year in the tone of people discussing things on social media. And I just, like I told y'all Sunday before last, I just made a choice. I'm still struggling with it because it's hard when you see things that are wrong, keep my mouth shut and just say, well, it's not going to do any good to talk to you. Because we are living in a day and an age where even those who profess to know Christ have exited the scriptures in determining how they act and the choices they make. Let me just, I didn't plan on this, let me pull it up here right quick. I want to read to you, if I can find it real quickly, and I'm sure I can. There's one fellow on Facebook that I've seen, and let me just read you some comments. And this is a guy that professes to know the Lord and to be a teacher of God's Word. We don't need to search the Scriptures to find life in Jesus. We need to search Jesus to find life in the Scriptures. Isn't that strange?
About as clear as mud there.
Here's one that he posted this morning early. 2 things I rarely, if ever, think about: sin or the devil. I actually believe sin was dealt with 2,000 years ago on the cross. I have reckoned myself dead to it. I no longer have to beg God to forgive me for anything because He already did it completely. I don't go through my day trying not to sin. I wake up as a son of my Papa. I'm so washed clean that I squeak when I walk. I used to live in guilt, condemnation, shame, because I focused solely on everything I did wrong. What a hellish way to go through life. You know what he just said? I don't sin anymore, so I don't have to worry about it.
You know, part of what he said is true, brother.
What's that?
We don't have to ask God for forgiveness once we've been saved.
But doesn't it say if we confess our sins, He's faithful to forgive us our sins?
We don't have to ask His forgiveness to get salvation, no.
No, we have to confess our sins.
But we have to confess them.
Yeah.
We have to confess them for what they are. Homologeo. Agree? Say the same thing about it. The word confess is homologeo in the Greek. That means to say the same thing about. Say the same thing about that God says about. Yeah. And expose them. And I did comment on that this morning with this guy. What little time I said, 1 John 1:9 says, you know, and I did, you know how I started off my response to him, and I try not to be sarcastic. Go, wow! Even Paul the Apostle said he struggled with daily sin in Romans chapter 7. The things I want to do, I don't do. The things I do. Oh, who shall deliver me from this body of death that I live in? I said, our soul has been redeemed, but our body hasn't been sanctified yet. Amen? Yeah, exactly. Now, what does all that have to do with this? Well, I won't read comments that have been made back to him. Is the guy wrong? Yes.
Yeah.
But should we still govern how we speak? Yes. John McCain passed away. When was that? Saturday. If you have Facebook or any social media, you have seen the attacks on him. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, me and Mr. McCain were poles apart, even though he claimed to be Republican. He and I were poles apart politically. I mean, he voted against things I would have voted for, and he voted for things I would have voted against. But I don't know if you saw my post on his concerning his death. I think liked it or commented on it. You know, we can honor his service, honor his memory. We didn't have to agree with him politically. And what good does it do to tear a man apart after he's gone? What good does it do to the family and the wife and the kids? Right? It does nothing. And so it bothers me when the unbelievers are uncivil. But what bothers me even more is when believers are uncivil. Look what James said. And James is writing to we've been through James a number of times over the years in the Sunday school and in preaching. I think you've talked to it 2 or 3 times in Sunday school over the years. James is writing to a group of Christians who've been persecuted and are scattered abroad. That's what he says in James chapter 1 and verse 1. The 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, reading, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse or various temptations or tests, knowing this, the trying of your faith worketh patience. And he's talked about some things that are very important. And going into this, and he's talked about, I call James, the book of James, where the rubber meets the road Christianity. And James is saying, if you're going to call yourself Christians, act like it. And you know you're Christians by the way you, in chapter 1, by the way you respond to trials and by the way you resist temptations. And in chapter 2, you know you're a Christian by the way that you respect others and you reveal your faith. But now he comes to chapter 3 and he's going to say, you know you're a real Christian by the way you refrain your tongue. Notice what he says. My brethren. So he's not, when he says the word brethren, that automatically excludes non-believers, does it not? He's not talking to the unchurched. He's not talking to non-believers. He says, my brethren, be not many masters or teachers, knowing that we, those who teach, shall receive the greater condemnation. For in many things we offend all. And if any man offend not in the word, the same is a perfect or a mature, a complete, a whole man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. He said, behold, also the ships, which though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Even so the tongue. This thing that when God created our bodies, he put the tongue behind some bars of ivory. He imprisoned the tongue behind bars of ivory. Why? Because the tongue is a little matter and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. The tongue is a what?
It's wicked.
It's on fire. A world of iniquity.
Yeah.
So is the tongue among our members that defileth the whole body and setteth on fire the course of nature, and is set on fire of hell. For every kind of beast and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith, with the tongue, we bless God, even the Father. And then the next breath, therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude or the likeness of God. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So no fountain can yield both salt water and fresh. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Who are the wise ones? How do you prove it? Let him show out of a good conversation his words with meekness of wisdom. James, like I said, he's already dealt with the issue of how we respond to trials and resist temptations and respect others and reveal our faith. Now he comes to the way we refrain our tongue. And he said, a genuine Christian will not let his or her tongue loose just to say whatever. How many of you heard people say, well, I just always say what's on my mind? Now, what does Proverbs, anybody quote the verse? What does Proverbs say about that? A fool uttereth all his mind. So whenever I hear somebody say that, I say, you have just identified yourself. According to the scriptures, you are a fool. Here's your sign. I just say what's on my mind. That's all I can do. Well, that's not a wise thing to do. I've known too many people who mouthed off and said, well, I just gave them a piece of my mind. Yeah, you didn't have any left. Hello. James says a genuine Christian is going to watch how they say. Now, today with technology, we don't necessarily have to say it here. We can say it here. But it's still speech. Isn't that right? With no filters, absolutely. Matter of fact, people are more apt to say something here than they are here because they're behind a computer or a tablet screen or a phone screen here. And so they're braver doing this than they are looking you in the eyeball and talking to you. Isn't that right? So what does James tell us about impulsive speech? And again, like I said, I've been more than a little burdened by the way I'm seeing Christians talk to people and online. It's just ways it ought not be. The other day, and the thing that triggered, I don't know if I shared this with the church, I shared it with one or two of you. What prompted me to say I'm going to back off any political comment? I'm going to try to. It's hard for me. You understand that? Make that a matter of prayer for me.
Bridle with your tongue.
Huh?
Bridle with your tongue. Bridle with your tongue.
Yes, it's hard for me to get that bridle to fit sometimes. But I had made a comment, and I can't remember what the comment was, but understand I have made it a practice ever since I've used Facebook to never be obnoxious, attacking, and I don't think you can find one thing I've ever written or posted that was insulting the people. And I wrote it was a response to something. The next response was a picture of the guy in Colorado 2 weeks ago, was arrested for killing his wife and 2 daughters, claiming they just left, He said, boy, he looks just like you, don't he? He said, are you going to kill your wife and kids too? I was like, man, this guy's supposed to be a Christian. And then the next week, and I just said, fool, I just clicked my comment. Of course, when I deleted my comment, they all disappeared. But I thought, really, is that what we come to today? And I've been thinking about this James chapter 3 because sometimes I think we need to, and so our tongue can be reflected by our typing. That'd be a good thing, Let our tongue guide our typing and bridle our typing too. Amen? Huh?
Our tongue and our thumb.
Yeah. Let your tongue govern your thumb and bridle it too. Amen.
Amen.
I want you to look with me in verses 1 and 2. Look at the responsibility of the tongue that James points out here. And he makes two drastic points here in these first 2 verses. First of all, he says that control, here's the responsibility of the tongue. Number 1, control is necessary for those who teach because of a greater accountability. Let me say it again. Control is necessary for those who teach because of greater accountability. That's what he says in verse 1. My brethren, be not many masters, didaskalon is the word there, that it literally refers to those who teach, not to those who boss. We think of the word masters, but remember back in the old days, and even in some parts of the world today, they will look at their teacher and they will call them what? Master. Especially over in the Asian countries, they will refer to their teachers as masters. You get a master's degree. Well, that's what James is writing about here, and he says, knowing that when we accept the responsibility of teaching others, a greater judgment, a greater condemnation comes on us. The word is the same word translated judgment in other parts of the New Testament. And he said, we are held to a higher standard. those of us who have the responsibility of teaching. Now, he's not referring just to those who teach in the local assembly. He's talking about teaching in life. You could be a school teacher. You could be a college professor or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You could be simply teaching your children. Everybody is teaching somebody. And he said, you have a greater accountability. My first pastor had written some things on this passage. He said this. He said, the warning is based upon the principle that where it is given a greater influence, there is a greater degree of accountability. Dr. Frank McClung said that. But to teach error, what James says here, we better be careful what we say, because if we communicate error, God holds us to a higher judgment. That's the reason I fear and tremble when I hear people hijacking the gospel for a political purpose or some other purpose. What is the gospel? The death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. That is the gospel. What is the purpose of the gospel? What's that?
Everlasting life. We will those who take it.
To bring people to what?
Christ.
To salvation in Christ. I am not ashamed of the gospel of God, for the gospel of Christ, for it is what? The power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth. That's the purpose.
To reconcile people to Christ.
It's to bring people reconciled to Christ. That's right. And so, when we're using our tongues to say something else, that is a greater judgment. Don't get me wrong. I kind of hit on this Sunday evening, I think it was. You know me, most of you know me long enough to know I'm against any sort of prejudice. I'm against any sort of racism in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I'm against any sort of bigotry. I'm against any sort of injustice towards somebody because of their skin color or any reason, right? You know that, because that's what the Bible teaches, that we, but let me tell you, that is not the gospel message, social justice. So back in March, when the anniversary, the 50th anniversary of MLK was being acknowledged, and people say it was celebrated. I don't call that a celebration when somebody was assassinated. I didn't like it when they used the term back in March, but I think the commemoration is a better word. But I heard a well-known preacher, I've read some of his books, that I'm blessed by his books, but he stands up at a conference on the subject of racial reconciliation and social justice, and he said this. He said, the message of the gospel is that we ought to have racial reconciliation and social justice. I screamed at my computer screen as I was watching the video. I said, what? You prostituted the gospel. You're selling it out for some other reason. Yes.
Did you break it?
I said I yelled at my computer screen. I didn't hit it. For those of you all, John MacArthur has finally been compelled to address that subject, the gospel and social justice. He's doing it in about a 3-part series. He preached it last Sunday, was the number 1, and I downloaded it today and I'm listening to it. I'm going to get all 3 parts because he's one of the most, he's able to handle the subject more accurately than probably about anybody I know, biblically speaking. Yes.
I just don't get it. They believe God, but then they don't believe God. Like French fries, it's there, but then it's not.
Like what?
Like French fries, it's there, but it's not.
I didn't understand that. Like what? Sound like you said like French fries.
That's what you say.
That's what he said. I'm still not.
I don't get it because when they believe God, and
Well-
then they don't believe God. Like French fries, it's there, but then it's not. It's real.
Somehow that makes sense, doesn't it? But I understand. But again, what what is so important is the purity of the gospel. And when you have men that are using their tongues in order to fit in politically, they are hijacking, or the word I like better is prostituting the gospel. You're taking it, presenting it as something else. It's wrong. And God says they're going to be held to a higher judgment.
Yeah, but how do they believe it when they already believe this?
Well, again, we'll talk about that later, Mr. Titus, okay? Because this is, so being able to control our tongues and what we say is necessary for teachers. But number two on the responsibility, it's not just for teachers. Look at verse 2. Control of the tongue is necessary for every believer. Why? It's a proof of maturity. He said, in many things we offend all. If we offend not in word, the person who never offends with their words is a mature, perfect man. And if you have control of your tongue, what does he say? You're able to bridle the whole body. You're able to control the whole body. Somebody who cannot control their tongue cannot control other parts of their life as well, their body. Yes.
Is that a conflicting statement with verse, the one that says that no man can tame the tongue?
No man can tame the tongue. Yes, that's down in verse 8.
Is that a conflicting statement with verse, the one you just read?
No, he said if you could.
No, there is a condition there. If. And nobody can contain it, but you can control it. Okay? And I think there is a
Like a
difference.
lion attack where you don't.
Yes. Yes,
Train it, but you don't really control it. You don't really.
you control the lion, but you don't really tame it because you let it get out of control and it tames you real quick. And if you do it again, it's the same thing. Same thing. Never mind. All right. So,
French fries.
yeah, French fries. And so we will go back to the text of Scripture now, okay? And so James gives a compliment to those who are having a controlled tongue. The word offend. Now, does that mean if I ever upset somebody, then I'm not a mature believer? No, that's not what it says. Because believe me, as a preacher, I've upset plenty of people over the years. Okay, and you're not going to make everybody happy. But what James is saying here is that if we do not cause somebody to stumble, we do not call, the word offend means to stumble or to fall. In other words, we're not, when those preachers stand up and say, this is the message of the gospel, and it's not, are they going to cause others to fall? Yes, they are. In their walk with God.
And there's a difference between you being the offensive one and the word of God offending. You
There's
can't
a
stop
difference
the word.
between me offending with my word and the word itself being offensive. Because even Paul said in 1 Corinthians 1:18 that the message of the cross is an offense to the lost.
And so you're not trying to make the message not offensive. You're just trying to make sure that the messenger isn't offensive.
There's a way I can say things if I choose my words carefully. I can say things that are less offensive than if I just blurt them out. Okay? You've heard me tell many times, like the young man who he saw this beautiful girl and he just had to take her out on a date. And he practiced a line. He said, "When I look into your face all time, stand still." He practiced it and he practiced it. Look into your face all time, stand still. Beautiful. That's bound to impress her. They're sitting there at the table in the fine dining restaurant eating. His palms are sweaty, his heart's beating rapidly. What was that? And he just blurted it out. He said, "Wow." He said, "Your face would stop a clock." See, there's just a way you can say things, and they come across different. Right? Meant the same thing to him, but I promise you, she did not receive it the same. Okay? And so, when you're a mature believer, you have that ability to think before you what? Speak.
makes me think of we were studying in Matthew in the Sunday school class. In Matthew chapter 15, when he gave a parable, he was talking to the talking to the Pharisees. He said things that made them very unhappy. In fact, one of his disciples even said, then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying?
Right.
So even Jesus, when he said things that offended people. In fact, he even said later, let them alone. They're blind leaders of the blind. So it's not that you're not going to be the thing.
The message may be offensive.
Yeah.
But the way you say it should not be. And I think that's where a lot of people need to learn that, especially when they're speaking, when they're talking with their fingers or their thumbs on social media. Because I put out a little thought this morning because as I was pondering on this, I thought, when I grew up, I don't know whether it's my grandmother or my mother or whatever, but I remember hearing it said to me more than once, if you can't say something good about somebody, then say nothing at all. And there are some who obviously haven't figured that out. And I'll put that on there, and some say, well, sometimes people just need to be exposed, according to who's decided.
Yeah.
Now there's times when I will stand here and I'll warn you of a false prophet or somebody who's a false teacher, so like I just did about the message of the gospel. I didn't give you a name, it's not necessary at this point in time, but if he were coming to town, I might tell you his name, but he's not, and so you're not going to be exposed to him, but I'll just leave it at that. But I wrote one guy that I heard speak at that conference as well, and I wrote him a very kind letter. I said, look, here's the problem with what I see, with what you're saying. And he was an African-American preacher. I said, because he said some drastic statements that just had no biblical foundation whatsoever. But it sounded good in the heat of the moment in a politically charged environment where racism and social injustice is the thought. By the way, you won't find anything about social injustice in the scriptures. It's about justice. Leave the word social off. It's about justice. All the way through. And I know this has nothing to do with where I'm going on the tongue, but I'm reading through the New Testament. I was in Matthew chapter 2 a couple of days ago, where the wise men had gone and they didn't go back. The Lord wanted them to go on back to their own country. Remember the story? And then an angel came to Joseph and said, what? Remember? He said, take the child and do what? Flee to Egypt. Why? Because Herod will seek his life. That means God knew what was about to happen. Right? God warned Joseph, get Jesus out of here, to get him out to Egypt so that Herod won't find him and kill him. Then what happened after that?
Killed all the children in the town.
Speak up.
Killed all the children in the town.
Herod said, all the male babies 2 years old and under, kill them. We'll get him one of them. That's what happened. Now you look at that, Jesus. Huh?
So I thought about that before. Why did he stop that?
Even prophesied about it 400 years before it happened.
Yeah.
That it was going to happen.
So the daughters
Daughters of Raymond.
daughters would be weeping. The daughters of Bethlehem would I'm trying to remember how you worded it.
But anyway, now you look at that, and again, false teaching come out of that. Now, can I explain why did God spare one baby out of all those that could have been spared? You got a solution to that one? What's the answer, Pastor? God's sovereign. He knows what He's doing, and He's always good. That's all I can say. He don't think like we do. He says that in Isaiah 55. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my thoughts above your thoughts. God sees everything in a lot different plane than we see it. And I just got to trust Him. I don't have an answer that's going to make us all feel good. Oh, now I see it. But it's trusting God. Now, it does come back to this. When we can communicate the Word of God in an effective way to where the message may offend, but we don't offend, that shows a sign of maturity. When we can communicate with one another. You ever got mad at somebody and said some things? I I mean, the words coming out of your mouth faster than you can think. And after it's all over, you think, I wish I hadn't said that. You ever done that?
Yeah.
I'm guilty.
That's when you got your common sense filter turned on.
Yeah, you do. And that's exactly what we need to think. And James says the mark of a true believer is that when, if you're a teacher, you're controlling what you teach, and you're making sure that because you're responsible for everything that comes out of your mouth. God is going to judge you for what you teach. Number two, he said, if you're not a teacher, but you are still a believer, he said, you better show your maturity by being able to control that thing in your mouth all the time. That is the responsibility of the tongue. It's time to talk, and we still got two more big points to go. We'll just pick up there next time. If we don't have a question next week, we'll start right there again. How's that? Fair enough? Any questions or comments? Appreciate y'all's participation. I'll figure out the French fries later. Was that McDonald's or Burger King?
They're both good.
Go Valley.
You quit picking at Jim Pastor, he just wants to know.
That's all right. I'm glad to have them participate. I'm glad to see Peter and Titus and Ryan all down here close to the front. They're some good, fine young men. Really are.
And we love the French fries that.
I asked Jessica how her kids all get so smart. And she said it was from her. All right. Is it raining outside?
It ain't it ought to be.
I wish over that's the air. I'm hearing the rain.
It looks like midnight out there.
Well, we might just need to say, shall we gather at the river, you know? All right, well, God bless you. Go ahead and shut that off. It is good for you to be here tonight. And